And guys, we were getting into the creativity that gets stolen by watching porn and the fantasy world that it creates in the mind and the way that it makes the mind think. So Frank, have you actually experienced this yourself, in the creativity being stolen from you?
Yeah, I was a classic never get anything done person for my entire life. But you said something right before we went to the break about how when you were, really in the depths of your addiction or really struggling with some of the compulsion behaviors around it, that you lacked finding joy anywhere else in life outside of, not that you were even getting joy from consuming and watching porn, but I think the joy piece and the happiness in life is directly tied into the creativity. So I shared a quote on my Instagram, probably going back a few months now, that porn is the ultimate weapon of instant gratification, destroying today's men. So if we kind of just dissect that down, like we think about, like, what are we going to porn for? What are we seeking out when we're escaping reality? I did a video where I talked about why you're escaping reality, but what are we going there for? We're going there because what is happening in our real life, we're trying to run from, whether it's stress, anxiety, the loss of a relationship, rejection, loss of a job. I mean, all of these feelings of unhappiness, we're trying to run away from them and seek out pleasure, seek out gratification instantly. Now, here's where the problem, we talked about there being 12 million plus videos at one point. Now there's over 2 million. But think about how long it would take for you to literally watch every single video. Our brains are not wired for that level of stimulus that often. Like, you can literally sit there for hours and hours and hours. And porn is what's known as a supernormal stimulus. The way that your brain responds to it and the firing that takes place from a visual tube site pornography. I'm not talking like Playboy magazines or any of the old stuff that, maybe some of our parents were. I'm talking about what we're struggling with in today's world. The infinite, endless supply of graphic, hardcore material. Graphic, hardcore. Our brains are not equipped for that. So literally, first or second consumption, it starts to change the reward system in your brain. It starts to change the way that signals are fired, your pleasure chemicals, your dopamine. It's literally tweaking and changing where you're going to get the release, where you're going to release the chemicals from. So that's why the only place you're going to get dopamine, if you're struggling with this, is going to be in porn and nothing else in the outside world. The things that were created to bring us joy, to bring us happiness, none of that is going to work because you've programmed yourself to only seek that stimulus from pornography. So yeah,
now, is there going to be a freedom from that? Because I know a lot of people talk about, like, our brains are fully developed by the time we're 25, and they were doing studies on it and stuff. And I know that something new came out. But for someone that is hearing you talk about this, is there freedom on the other side? Is there a way to rewire their brains so that they are able to enjoy things other than this porn addiction?
Absolutely. So yeah, the male brain develops until the age of 28. I think the female brain is somewhere between the ages of 23 and 24. That's full adult development. Now, that doesn't stop the development of your brains. There's a term in neuroscience known as neuroplasticity. And all neuroplasticity, or your brain being plastic, means, all that means is literally it can change until the day that we're taken off of this planet. I spoke to a neuroscientist who works in the same space that I do. I've had her on the show a couple times, but in the first talk, she talked about a man that she was working with, not in her porn addiction practice, because she has an entire practice that helps people rewire their brains. This guy, I believe he had been struggling with a stroke and she needed to help him, but he was in his 80s and they were doing analysis with technology that they were seeing changes taking place in his brain into his 80s. So absolutely, yes, there is freedom on the other side. And here's when you know it's happened, because your brain is actually your eyes are a part of your brain. They're not attached. Your eyes are actually an extension of your brain. So when you rewire your brain, the world that you see changes. And I'm sure, Adam, you can speak to this.
Yeah.
Like, you don't look at an elephant and see a cow. That's not what I mean when I say things change. It's colors appear lighter, colors appear much stronger, colors appear much brighter. So you will, in fact, change your brain, and it'll change the way you see the world.
100%. And I recognize that when I got clean and sober off of drugs, I literally was able to witness as my vision changed from this like shadowy, like gray area, like this darkness that was consistently in my view, to being able to see colors again, to be able to and I think that our eyes are attached to a different emotional response also. When we see someone or we see something, because it's a connection to our brain, our eyes are telling our brain, we love that person, or we love to watch football or whatever it is. We're able to rewire our brains that way. So I love that, brother. I love